Hey guys, we're going to talk about Emily Dickinson today and then quickly go over our quiz terms just so you know the terms that will be on the quiz. So your admit slip today is to write 3 to 5 sentences about how you celebrated your long weekend. If you did anything for Easter, anything like that, and that will be that. So today we're going to go over the wind begun to rock the grass, as well as talk about the review terms, like I said. And quite appropriately, last night was a giant storm. We actually had to hunker down a minute here where I live on the west side of town. We had a threat where James Van was like, get in the hallway, you have a tornado. Thankfully, it did not come to our house. It did, however, knock a giant tree down in our backyard. Thankfully, the tree went the other way and not to our house, because if it had fallen the other direction, it would have absolutely smashed my daughter's room. So, this poem is particularly relevant to me today. Because this is a poem about a giant thunderstorm. You could say a tornado. She never really says, but you know. Um, so I'm going to read it, and then we have our vocabulary here. I'm going to move this just so y'all can see it. Sorry, I always have to move my face around. All right. The wind begun to rock the grass with threatening tunes, and lo, he threw a menace at the earth, a menace at the sky. The leaves unhooked themselves from trees and started all abroad. The dust did scoop itself like hands and threw away the road. The wagons quickened on the streets, and the thunder hurried slow. The lightning showed a yellow beak and then a livid claw. The birds put up the bars to nest, the cattle fled to barns. There came one drop of giant rain, and then, as if the hands that held the dams had parted hold, the waters wrecked the sky. It overlooked my father's house. And it does this to me every time. Then overlooked my father's house, just quartering a tree. Okay. So that is the poem. And so threatening, most of you know what the word threatening means. Threatening is having your attempt to frighten when you're kind of a looming over of something. So the wind is threatening with tunes. We know that wind, that heavy, loud wind. And menace, he threw a menace at the earth. She's taking menace can be used as a noun, but menace is a person or thing likely to cause harm. Um, and it says he here, and you can take it as a personification of the wind, or you can take it as the fact that she's talking about God. Um, I believe that she is referencing God here. The you know, I mean, River's awake. Sorry. So basically, the menace is the storm, and then we have quickened. Let's see, we've got quickened. The wagons quickened on the streets, and that's just because we get that sensation of the horse hooked up to the wagon, and they're in the streets, and they're going faster and faster and faster because the threat of the storm is closer. Um, the lightning showed a yellow beak and then a livid claw. She's talking about the way it looks in the sky. And the first time it looks like a beak, and the second time it looks like that claw. When you've seen the lightning when you have all the different parts coming down. I'm sorry, I'm dealing with allergies and I'm not clear here. But livid is furiously angry. So we think about that flash of lightning that's just terrifying and big, and she's calling it angry. And then wrecked, the waters wrecked the sky, and we've all been a part of that rain that's just so much. Um, that it's just damaging. And so the waters have opened up. They're, it's wrecking the sky, which is a really lovely image. From the way that she chooses words, the verbs and nouns that she decides to use are just they're lovely. And then overlooked means failed to notice. So, but what she's saying is he overlooked my father's house, father being God, so the church, um, just quartering a tree. Quartering is when you divide it into four equal parts. I have a tree that's quartered out back. It actually is in like four or five parts, you know? Oh man. Never knew how relevant this poem was going to be to my life. But it is April and we live in Alabama. So the speaker, we have the person that is writing out the storm, that's there to actually witness it. The theme is, it's a thunderstorm, but it's nature's fury. It is the real deal when you are powerless against what is happening in the natural world around you, and that is what she's trying to get through with this poem. And it was written in 1830. There's like five versions of this poem, and I don't know which version I have. It's from my Norton's anthology that came off my bookshelf. So I don't know which version this one is, um, but she was a big reviser. So I don't know. The form is free verse, and I know that I told you guys that I was going to do. Okay, babe, just chill. I know I told you guys we were gonna do. I feel like I told you we were gonna do no. I'm nobody. Who are you? And hope is a thing with feathers. I chose to do this one. I wanted you guys to do one poem, and I wanted it to be free verse. So the plot is basically the speaker talking about what happens when a storm comes through their town, how it affects the structures, the animals, the people, the nature, how everything is humming and moving and out of control. And this poem, even with it's got that the meter that it has, even with that meter, it sounds very out of control. It's quite cool that she's able to do that with the verbiage that she chooses. Um, the verbiage that she chose, because this is in the past. Um, and I think that she's able to convey that. And if you look at it, the wind begun to rock the grass. Um, I actually looked this up because it was quite confusing to me why she would say begun. Um, but it is the general consensus that the begun rather than began was to be jarring. Um, where you know not only is it rocking the grass, like we get the sensation of, everything down to the blades of grass is moving, you know, it begun, just it sounds weird, but it also sounds powerful. Um, threatening tunes and low, that the wind, when it gets to a certain pitch and it gets to a certain fervor, it becomes where it's this humming, strange feeling. And it's moving the grass, it's moving all in crazy directions, and you can feel and hear the way the wind is affecting the place where this storm is happening. And through a menace at the earth, a menace at the sky, the wind becomes a real problem. That's the problem in the tornado. It's not the thunder. It's not, it is the wind picking up and rotating a certain way. And so, the menace, it is going to destroy. That's its job. Its job is to mess things up. So we've got this thing that's only purpose is to destroy. Um, the leaves unhooked themselves from trees. I love this image. I think this is great, as if the leaves had a choice. And they're unhooking themselves. They are attached. The wind comes through, this menacing humming wind, and it unhooks them from trees, so it removes them from something that they were connected to and started all abroad. I mean, they're just cast, like all hairy carry. And the dust did scoop itself like hands. I mean, we've got personification going on here. Um, and I, this is a really another one that I just love, that the dust is being removed, right, in such a way that it's almost like someone's scooping it out with their hands, but it's the wind. We're still talking about the wind. So I guess in the beginning that he is wind, even though the wind is God. Does that make sense? Um, Scooping it up and throwing away the road. I mean, you don't it's very difficult to think about a road being thrown away, but this is a powerful storm, and, roads can be washed away, because of water. This is an instance where the wind is so strong and the storm is so strong that, we may have some rain, but this is all about the wind, and the wind is moving that, and if you think about it, then she didn't have any paved roads, so it's not like the asphalt is being scooped and thrown. It's the literal dirt that they're riding their horses and wagons on. Um, and we get that sense of the wagons quickening on the streets. People that are still out are like, I need to get it home right now. And the thunder hurrying slow. Another one, I love this because it's a paradox, because why would thunder hurry slow? Because that makes no sense. But there's something very deliberate about that sensation that she's describing, where you're hearing, it's coming. There's like that moment where you're like, okay, boom. And it's, you can feel it, the vibration, and hurried slow just talks about how it's deliberate, but it's also quick. I mean, like it's there and then it's gone, and then it's there and then it's gone, and it's so there is that dichotomy of fast and slow that's happening, because it is so startling, and so loud, but also deliberate in what it's doing. And following, the thunder and lightning, they come in pairs, and we've got these grand, um, um, I was going to say structures, but the way that she's saying that it's that appears, the way that it looks. She first sees a beak, and which means it's almost vertical, and then she sees the claw, which means that it's, it's horizontal and then vertical. Sorry. Um, and this is a wonderful image. The imagery that she uses is great. And the birds put up bars to nests, and the cattle fled to barns. These are how the nature, the animals are, trying to cope with what's happening. um the birds are like, hold on, we gotta deal with this. And the cows are fleeing to the barns, and then it's almost like one giant drop of rain, because if you've ever been sitting in your house or somewhere in your car, and it's like it's not raining, and then all of a sudden it's raining, and it's raining everywhere, monsoon style, not a trickle, not a little pitter, it's like deluge. And it's like one giant drop of rain, happens at one time, because it's decided to just, you know, the bottom lets out. And then, as if the hands that held the dams had parted hold, the waters wrecked the sky. So here, we've had wind, we've had threatening, um, thunder and lightning. The leaves are flying around like crazy, and then now we have the rain, and the rain is just, it looks as if the sky has opened up. It's like someone has opened up the dam and the waters are rushing free. Um, and she says the last two lines, but overlooked my father's house, right? So the tornado did not get, or the storm did not get the actual church, but it did quarter a tree. It left the tree. And if it's like at mine, it fell on the lawnmower. I'm like, oh, there goes that thing. There goes the lawnmower. I didn't need that. But at least it wasn't my house. So personification, we have the wind rocking the grass and throwing a menace. Um, the birds are putting up the bars to nest. We have the dust scooping. And then it talks about the rain as if the hands. No, 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 not there. That's it. I'm thinking of other things. So, and then we have a simile, the dust scooping itself like hands. And we have our paradox, the thunder hurrying slow. That is definitely something that you're like, that doesn't make sense. You can't hurry quickly. I mean, you can't hurry slowly, uh, but you can in Emily Dickinson poem, and it sounds rad. Um, and then imagery, we have our threatening tunes. Wind is threatening tunes, and the leaves unhooking themselves from trees, and the dust scooping and throwing away the road, and the wagons quickening, and the lightning with the yellow beak and the claw, and then one giant drop of rain. I mean, all of these things, um, they play on our senses, our sight, our smell. I mean, I get a lot of scent from this poem. That may or may not make sense to you, but the way that it's described to me, I can smell the storm. I can smell the ozone. I can smell the dust being thrown away. Um, when the water's absolutely just open wide and we have a giant rainstorm, I can smell that too. The way that she has chosen her words, they're very visual, and they're also, I mean, to me, I can smell it. And that just, you know, scent is tied a lot into memory. And when you have memories of being in storms, um, sometimes you can smell them. But that could just be me. Punctuation and capitalization. This is, I put here, trademark Emily Dickinson, because she has her M dashes at the end of the line. That's the long dash here. She loves the M dash. Um, and she also capitalizes um, the certain words that she thinks are important. And we have wind, grass, tunes, earth, menace, sky, trees, dust, leaves, hand. I mean, all of these different words that she thinks are the important parts of this particular poem. And also she uses, does she use it? Yes, she uses enjambment, the held that held the dams that parted, hold the waters, wrecked the sky. Hold. She uses enjambment there. I did not write that down, but you know how I love the enjambment. Oop! All of a sudden, I have a pointer. I don't want a pointer. All right, so that's it for Emily Dickinson. You will wind up reading a lot of Emily Dickinson in 8th grade with Miss Warfel. And so that's all we're going to do of her for now. I don't know what the future holds. Every day is a new day. But we will do some other stuff, free verse style. So these are the terms that you'll need to know for your quiz. I've got them all right here. And when you want the definitions for these, you can go back and look at the previous slide. I didn't cut and paste and put them here because they just exist somewhere else, and there's no reason to do that. And you can either look up the video or you can just look up the terms on the slides, okay? So assonance, alliteration, and consonants, those are the three sound devices. Alliteration is the beginning of the word. Assonance is going to be the vowel sound, and consonants is generally the consonant sound somewhere within the middle or end of a word. You'll need to know what a rhyme is. You need to know what a line and a stanza are. Ars Poetica, odes, imagism. I don't have free verse on here. I don't know if that was on purpose. We can talk about it the next time. Imagery, metaphor, simile, personification, paradox, and enjambment. Those are the meaning devices that you will need to know. So how it works. I will either give you the definition, like an ode is something that you dedicate to celebrating something, um, or I will give you an example, like, this is an example of, Susie sells seashells by the seashore, and you're like, "That is alliteration." And you'll pick from 3 multiple choice answers, okay? So you'll have 3 in front of you, you pick the correct one. Um, so I put here, revisit the week 1, slides for poetic devices and forms. It's March 31st, and when you open up that week 1 intro to poetry topic, on the left side, it has just informational slides, and you can click on the 31st and pull that up. Or if you wanna watch the video again, I don't know why you would, but if you do, it's gonna be on the right side towards the bottom, you know how those work, where the videos are, and you can do that. And just look, you can just look over. I'm using the definitions from those particular slides. So it should be. I mean, when I say it's easy, it's if you've listened to the lectures and you've done the dissection um, and looked for these things. I think you can pick these things out of a lineup. You know, it's. I think you can do this. You guys are smart. Okay, so tell me, as an exit slip, what your favorite poem we've read is so far. Just 3 to 5 sentences. I like Emily Dickinson's poem because blah, blah, blah. There you go. And there's your lightning crash. Your, no, not crash, but your livid beak. And your homework will be to write a poem, any form or any length, about the very first thing you want to do when we are out of quarantine. And you can go wherever you want. Doesn't matter if you wanna go to Disneyland, doesn't matter if you wanna go and hug your grandmother, it doesn't matter if you want to go to school. Some of you may be like, "I just wanna get back to the normalcy of school," and don't worry, I won't tell anybody if that is true. It could be like, "I can't wait to see Miss Joyner." I know that's a joke. These are the jokes. But that is just I want you to write a poem, and it doesn't matter how long or short it is, it doesn't matter what form it is, just to tell me the first thing that you would like to do when we are no longer confined to our houses. And then I want you to just review for your quiz tomorrow, and you can take it anytime you like, it's already posted. So, um, and there's my work site. So I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend, and I will see you on Monday.